Lay. Sir. Yeah. Yeah. It was more so later on as I went through like my sneakerhead kind of phase. I started to search for like just simple stuff, simple silhouettes, simple things, but I was always into brands that had a meaning behind them, like a story that was actually authentic, I guess. Being from like, the skater kind of lifestyle at the same time too, it fit both kind of pieces. Like you want some simple stuff, but you want something that speaks to what you do. And so that was the relationship. But for me, it wasn't like a big step where I felt out of, my box or out of my zone. Instead of paying them to wear them, won't you pay me to wear them, kind of a thing. But I'm already wearing them, so it was a relationship that was real easy. Didn't take a lot of cajoling or kind of like influence from the company. Even if we didn't do the deal, I would still be wearing Vans. A couple of years, I got into really subversive literature from all walks of life, all different countries, all different formats. And that little one right there is one that I keep with me actually every day. Cool. Yeah. It's hard for me to read. And so, it'll take me, I remember the first book I actually read on my own, or tried to read for the sake of just saying like, hey, I read a classic, was Tom Sawyer. And it took me like 3 years, to read Tom Sawyer, because it didn't engage me, So these books and books like it engage me, and I'll go through them in a couple days, because what's in them is relevant to me and speaks to me. So 12 Steps for Political Revelation. I actually have a book club, and we actually read this in my book club. Fire Next Time, I'm a big fan of James Baldwin. Call myself a Baldwinian as far as his philosophies and his criticalness and his counterpoints to even the status quo of the time. Meaning he would critique Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It wasn't just take this and run with it for what it is. We're all on the same boat, but there's different tactics that we can use. So he was a big component of that, and I really love him. Empire of Illusion, Chris Hedges, who's a master, at what he does and what he speaks. His other book, I'm reading his first book now, which was War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning. This is one of his later books, and this was actually one of the first books that we read from our book club too. And George Orwell is actually the first book that in high school that was required reading that I actually finished. Before, it's like I picked it up, started to read it, and you read chapter, and you do a test, do another chapter, do a test. This one I read all the way through, and it was like, oh wow, this book is dope.
You are my homeboy, you never have to pay me. Go and put your hands up, when times is hard, you stand up. LUP the man, cause a brand that the fans trust. So even if they ban us, they'll never slow my plans.
Jamaica, sound clashes, Rastafarianism, and, all of that revolutionary music. I call it liberation rock. Yeah, it's my own little genre for myself that I created. Music that takes elements of what's over there and squeezes it into things like this. So artists like Jimmy Cliff, definitely artists like Bob Marley, to Damian Marley. Reggae music is what I constantly go back to, because it is. I don't like to just sit down and listen to somebody tell me how much dope they sold or how many times they shot somebody. Like, that's cool in its space, but on a daily basis, I like to feed myself nutritious kind of things. And for me, through the ears, the most nutritious things that you can listen to are either words with notes, songs with no words, like jazz, or words that actually have power and meaning behind them, which would be reggae and punk. So sometimes the energy that keeps me going turns out to be the energy that destroys me at the same time, So I guess I have to pace myself within my inspirations, to not let my inspirations be the purpose of why I'm doing my music, or doing what I do, express myself in any fashion, because those things can turn on you, so to speak. It's always been there, I think it's not about being one thing at one particular time all the way through. There's multiple points and counterpoints and things that influence you throughout your life. So on a daily basis, there's 3 or 4 or 5 different levels of inspiration that keep me, or 3 or 4 or 5 different things that inspire me to do something else. And that was just one of them. That is taking a little bit more precedence than the other ones, I guess.